Hello, everybody, again. Thank you so much for coming, and I feel honored to be asked to talk about this topic. And as you kind of heard as we were going around, there's a little bit of confusion. Is it bad? Is it good? What do I want to learn more. So that's what I'm here to do. So Bingo Reverse Mortgage is our company. My husband, Brian, and I started it about 3 years ago. My father, Larry, my mom, Cindy's here to support me, but my dad has been in mortgage and real estate my entire life. And so that's how Brian and I were introduced to the idea of reverse mortgage. And my husband, Brian's very visionary, big picture. I'm very detailed, so we kind of complement each other in that way. And we both, as we dove in, realized that this space, not only has the product been refined over time, but our generation might really need their home equity in retirement. And so we can see this huge potential for this product in the future. So speaking of, this is my beautiful family. The top corner, you'll see Brian and I. We have my stepdaughter, Maddie, is 19. She graduated from Matchbuff a year ago. And I was going to tell you that she's a caregiver at Morningstar. So she's loving that. And then Haley over here in the corner, she's 9. She's in 3rd grade. She goes to Ave Maria. Harley up there in the top is in 2nd grade. She's 7. And then Tristan, we got a boy right at the end there. He's 6 and he's in kindergarten. So that's everybody. One thing, part of my, I grew up Protestant. Loved Jesus my whole entire life, and then when I met my cradle Catholic husband, it sent us on a journey together to discover, well, we both are Christians, but it also is very different. So started in RCIA and became Catholic about 13 years ago before we got married. And at the time when I met Brian, I was working for an advertising agency for nonprofits. Alternatives Pregnancy Center was one of the clients that I worked with, and I introduced Brian to Alternatives. And it just birthed this passion in us to support life. And Alternatives Pregnancy Center is Denver local. They have 6 offices. They have a mobile testing clinic. Well, they'll drive around. They converted this RV to do STD testing, ultrasounds. And so it's always been a passion of mine. And then also with Brian, his grandfather, they went to St. Mary's in Littleton, and his grandfather really instilled that in him as well. So when we met, Brian we wanted to run his own company, been very entrepreneurial, and we went to a gala at Alternatives, and they said, it costs $10,000 a month to support one ultrasound machine, and if a person is not sure if they want to keep the baby or not, the chances are if they have an ultrasound and see that baby, they will keep the baby. And so instantly, Brian's like, I want to start a business and I want to donate $10,000 a month to Alternatives Pregnancy Center. And so when my daughter Haley, the one right over here, she's 9. When she was born, I was like, I want to have flexibility. So Brian and I started our own company. We've had a bunch of different companies. As an entrepreneur, you try different things. But in 2017, we started a company. Whoops, wrong way. And unfortunately, we lost that company 3 years ago. And it was kind of why I titled the talk Trusting God in Business, because we had that company for 4 years. We grew that company. We did get to our $10,000 a month to Alternatives Pregnancy Center through that company. But a lot of life and a lot of things happened. And I don't want to go into all the detail, but I just want you to know that the Surrender Novena was my lifeline. We lost that company. It was 3.5 years ago now. And as soon as we lost that company, we pivoted to reverse mortgage, and we knew that God had a plan. We didn't know why it was happening when it did, but we just trusted in him. And I'm going to get teary about it because he has walked us through the journey. And 3 years later, everything has settled with that, and we're on a beautiful new path in our reverse mortgage space. But not without the grace of God. When we lost that company, has anyone heard of Teams of Our Lady by chance? For 7 years, my husband and I have been in a Teams of Our Lady, and it's a small group that you meet once a month at people's houses, and it's an international Catholic movement. And one of our dear, dear friends from that said, you need to look at the Surrender Novena. And I said that prayer multiple times every single day to get through that hard time. And so now I stand before you 3.5 years later because this has kind of been my anthem the last 3.5 years, is you give God your mess and let it become your message. And so that's why I'm here sharing this story with you, and that God does see you through the hard times. And you might not know why businesses fail. You might not know why you get a bad diagnosis. You might not know why someone dies. You don't know these things, but you trust in him and he will guide you through it. So that's how I've trusted God in our business. But now let's talk about reverse mortgages, why you actually came here. So your perception is your reality. So I want to just do a little bit of an exercise. You've probably seen some of these photos, but who in here sees an older woman in this photo? Yes, older women. And who sees a young lady looking off? Okay. Who sees both? Yes. So we have the young woman or an old lady. There's the same exact picture, but you have two different perspectives of it. And then here's another one. Who sees a lady walking in a park? And who sees a ghostly face? So now, if I say it, you're like, oh, I see the face now. I see the lady walking right away. So when you're looking at this demographic and how they're using their home equity, what's your perception on reverse mortgages? Who thinks that they're bad? And you won't hurt my feelings. Who thinks that they're good? And who's not sure? That's why you're here, to decide and figure it out. Awesome. So I just am here to just enlighten you, educate you, and maybe your perception changes, maybe it doesn't. That's, reverse mortgages are getting more and more popular. They're getting more and more in the news. You can open up Forbes, USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, and they're trying to dispel the myth that we have to the reality. So here's a video that I just want to play.
We're back with a troubling fact of life for older Americans. Roughly half of people over 55 have little or no retirement savings. But consumer advocates now say that taking out a reverse mortgage could be a smart way to bring in more money. These loans used to be controversial, but as NBC's Olivia Stearns found out, they're now considered safer.
You've probably seen the ads on TV.
A reverse mortgage is a great program.
Promises to save big with a reverse mortgage, a loan that lets you borrow against the value of your house. Thanks to new government regulations, reverse mortgages are now actually harder to get. And with tougher lending standards in place, they're actually becoming less controversial and more popular. Still, experts warn they're not for everybody.
We love it. It's our dream home.
For Cheek and Kay Rothschild, though, a reverse mortgage was the solution to stay put. After 30 years and 4 kids, the Cartersville, Georgia couple couldn't imagine living anywhere else. But when the downturn hit, they couldn't afford to stay.
It was scary. It was devastating.
That's when they decided to get a reverse mortgage. Were you worried about the risks of getting a reverse mortgage?
Sure, we were concerned, but we did a lot of education.
What's changed? New limits on how much you can borrow, stricter requirements to qualify, and new protections for spouses. Borrowers still need to pay property taxes and home insurance, but experts say it is now safer.
I think reverse mortgages are going to be a lifeline for millions of retirees in the years to come, simply because they're undersaved for retirement.
The Rothschilds borrowed $250,000 in equity from their $440,000 house. If they sell or die, they only get what's left of their equity. The bonus, no more mortgage payments, means they're now saving $2,500 a month. For the Rothschilds, it all added up to a little more breathing room as they retired. Olivia Stearns, NBC News, Cartersville, Georgia.
Awesome. So that just that was in 2016, that article. So even since then, they've even made more changes to the product to make it better and safer. So we look at our aging demographics, and by 2050, the population of 65 plus citizens is projected to increase to 90 million. A third of Colorado's population is over 55 right now. And by 2023, Colorado will have a 125% increase in citizens ages 65 plus. That's just here in Colorado. Our seniors prepared for retirement. We use Go Banking Rates as kind of an aggregate. They send out an annual survey. And in 2015, they said, what's your biggest financial challenge? 60% of respondents age 55 plus said planning for retirement. The 2019 survey said, how are you preparing? 77% are putting into a 401k program. But 45% say they have no money put aside for retirement. And I'm saying this every single day. And so your Claudia is as well. In 2021, how much do you have in savings? Brace yourself for this one. They have less than $1,000 in savings. Their annual income is about $38,000. Does anyone know where that money comes from? Social Security, yes. And the average net worth is $170,000. Where's that? Their house, housing wealth. Yep. And then in 2023, seniors have over $11 trillion in home equity. 83% of seniors is, like we said just a second ago, their net worth is in their homes. And 32% of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency expense. I had a lady call me last year living without heat because she didn't have money to put in a heater. And she didn't qualify for the reverse, so I got her in contact with the bank. So I linked your card to do a HELOC and helped her through that because I'm like, you need heat. And I got her in contact with LEAP to get a heat, so there people out there are not able to do that. I'm going to skip this one because actually there are a variety of different types of clients and why they need this. And so you usually hear about the constraints, like this is the last resort, they don't have any money. And those people want to eliminate their existing mortgage to just improve their cash flow, pay for those unexpected expenses like the heat of the client that I was just telling you about, and then pay for just basic home repairs. This is kind of the group that people think of when they think of reverse mortgages, is it's a last resort option if you run out of money. But there are also the people who are a little concerned. They weren't expecting this inflation. They didn't expect a pandemic to happen. So these people just are concerned about where things are at. They want some additional income. We're seeing this right now, huge, is paying off credit card debt. We helped a client pay off $70,000 in credit card debt a couple months ago. Supplement their Social Security, or it's a strategy to postpone taking Social Security. So let's say someone wants to retire at 62, but they don't want to take Social Security till 67 or 70 to get more benefit. This can help with that. And then you have the people who are comfortable, they've saved, they've done all of the right things, but this can help premature portfolio erosion, can help with a home remodel, stacking tax deductions. They're strategic. I'm not a CPA, but I can point you to the right place on that. Pay for long-term care. Who is the long-term care rep? I want to talk to you. Use your home equity to pay for that long-term care. Help children with a down payment where they're pulling out some of their equity and to create generational wealth. We've seen that quite a bit. Yes. Yeah.
Their children being able to get into homes now.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And one client was like, oh, now I have a place to actually stay when I visit you. So created a room. Replace a HELOC with the standby line of credit with the reverse and pay for a Roth IRA conversion. So these are people are comfortable, but they're using their home equity to their advantage. So this is like a little bit of a scenario to show you how, a reverse mortgage could work. So right now we have Agnes and Alex. They want to make their money last as long as they do. And they want to do that by creating a line of credit. So everyone's familiar with a HELOC. A reverse mortgage has a line of credit feature. The interesting thing, and I'll show you, is that line of credit grows every single month at above the interest rate of your loan. So I'll show you exactly what that looks like. But let's say they have a home value of $625, there's no mortgage on it, and they expect their home to increase. Colorado, in our numbers, we use 4% appreciation. Colorado's seen 6% in some places. We were in Pueblo teaching a realtor class, and they're like, well, this is 2% appreciation down here. So it varies. But they want to turn their home equity into a growing line of credit. So based on their age, the interest rate at the time, and these are just for instructional purposes, we use a 7.92% per annum growth. They're able to access out of their home value, which was $625, they're able to access $203,000 to create that line of credit. So they can use these funds to travel, medical expenses for their children, grandchildren, home improvements, however they want. And there's no requirement to pay back the line of credit. Any amount that they take from the line of credit obviously increases their loan balance, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is kind of like, so the youngest borrower is 67 years old. So this goes from year 1 to the loan to year 33 of the loan, and we calculate it out till the borrower is 99. And whenever we meet with a client, we have this line itemed and we go through it. It's the best way to explain how the reverse mortgage works. So every year you have mortgage insurance to the lender. So it's an FHA product. FHA insures these. 99% of all reverse mortgages are the FHA product. And all FHA loans have mortgage insurance. And then there's your interest that's accruing every year. This is where the starting loan balance is, and this is your closing costs, your origination fee. So the starting loan balance, it starts at the $22,000. And then you have your line of credit. So the line of credit starts at $218, and you see on year 5, the line of credit has grown to $292. Let's go down to year 25 when they're 91. Your line of credit that's sitting there is $1,244,000. We use the 4% of a home appreciation there. So the home started at $650. It's appreciating over time. So you have this walk-away, pass-on inheritance, which I know we've talked a lot about, and that's one of our biggest concerns is, what do I leave to my kids? So this scenario is not realistic because they're not taking anything from this line of credit here. This is showing you how it works without taking money out of it. So let's use something a little more realistic. And right now we have them taking year 5, maybe they do a bathroom remodel for $35,000. And then year 10, it's the kitchen that needs to get remodeled. Year 15, they help their child with the down payment of a home. And then later on, there's like health expenses. I think that the average is $200,000 that people are having to pay out of pocket for medical over their life. So maybe in the later years, those are medical. So they've taken out $470,000 from their line of credit that's available to them over time. And you can see on the far right here, we still have pass along equity as inheritance for the heirs. So is that making a little sense? I know it's a lot of numbers. I'm moving quickly because but I think that this really, and I have my timer set here because I want to make sure that I don't go over. So this week, if you have questions, I'll save some time at the end. But that kind of just gives you a little bit of how the loan's structured, how it works, and how it can be helpful to people. And a reverse for purchase. So we teach classes to realtors. A lot of realtors don't know that you can buy a house with a reverse mortgage. And so we teach a 3 credits e-class. My husband Brian teaches it. And it's becoming more and more popular. You put about 65% down, the loan makes up the 35%, and you move in without a mortgage payment. And I don't even think I got to this, and I apologize. A reverse mortgage, the loan increases over time because you're not making a monthly mortgage payment. It gets added to the loan. So in a retirement scenario, that's why it's so beneficial, is cash is king when you're retired. Shutting off a mortgage payment or accessing your equity. And when you pull that access, you're not making a payment every month on it. It gets paid, yes, and it gets paid when you leave the home permanently. So we'll get to that. But so this is another little video. It's a short one, but this is a client that we helped recently.
Our experience with Bingo Reverse Mortgage from beginning to end was marvelous. As the child of a parent helping his mother get a reverse mortgage. For years she's been doing things for me, so it was time for me to help her. This process can be complicated, but I'm glad I could help with some of the paperwork and some of the details, but Bingo Reverse Mortgage really did most of the heavy lifting and made the process smooth and easy for us, so we could get her dream. She's got a new lease on life now. I mean, she's able to buy this place that's in this community. It's a senior community. She feels so comfortable there, and she's just so joyful being there. I didn't expect that, but it was just an added benefit, and there's no way in the world that would have ever happened without the help of a Bingo Reverse Mortgage. She's just overjoyed, and in turn, I am overjoyed for her. So thank you very much, Bingo. Appreciate you.
And she's made so many friends. She is so happy.
Yeah, we got her into a nice condo in Denver.
Yeah, she's very
And Stefan, her son, helped us with the process, and he's in our BNI where I met Patrick. So I want to really quickly, I'm going to skip this one, why people move. There's a lot of reasons why. This is just a rough scenario of how the reverse purchase works. So the top half is if they're just paying all cash, they sell their existing home and they're downsizing, they'll get to keep $188,000 in their pocket from the sale of that home. Well, if they use a reverse for purchase, that's the bottom scenario. They'll still have no payments, but they'll be able to keep $405,000 cash in their pocket. If they just put this one-time down payment of $407,000 cash to closing, they finance with the reverse mortgage the $238,000. So then they keep more cash in their pocket. So that's a lot of numbers up there. And I'll skip this slide. This kind of just shows you, based on your age, how much you would put down if you're buying a home value over here. But I can, if you want these slides, just get my number. And then the reverse mortgages, I like to say they're kind of like your cell phone. They started out, the early product is kind of like this old, ugly cell phone that we all started with. I remember my dad having one. And over the years, they've refined it into this beautiful cell phone that's basically a computer in your hand. And that's how the reverse mortgage product has been. That's kind of why you hear the bad stories, is because through the process of refinement, they made some mistakes. And so the history, I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but the first reverse mortgage was in 1961. In 1983, the Senate approved that reverse mortgages can be insured through FHA. There's just all this different timeline. In 1989, down at the bottom, the very first reverse mortgage, it's called a HECM, the FHA product. They call it the home equity conversion mortgage, was issued. And then you continue to see, I'm just going to throw all these up here, in 2001, they required third-party counseling. So whenever we meet with someone, they have to schedule a third-party counselor to go over the numbers. Let's see, one of the biggest ones is in 2015, financial assessment to make sure people can pay property taxes, HOA, and insurance. Like, that seems pretty, why haven't they always been doing that? But they didn't. The joke was you could fog a mirror and get a reverse mortgage. Kind of like all the loans that they used to do, which is why we had 2008. So they've made it a lot safer by putting some of these safeguards in place. In 2017, they limited how much equity someone can pull out of their home. That used to go up to 80% and just pull all that equity out and then they spend it, and then what? Well, now it's much more regulated. And then just recently, they added seller concessions on the reverse purchase transaction, which has been a great tool for our realtor partners. So just basic myths, and I'm almost done. I'll lose my home. No, you retain full ownership of your home. It's just a mortgage. A reverse mortgage is just like any other mortgage. It's a lien on your property. I'll be forced to leave my home. No, you do need to still pay your property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA. If you fail to maintain the property, that can cause issues. But if you it's just like with any other mortgage, really. And a maturity event is when you die, when you're no longer living in the home for 6 months and a day. That's when they'll start having that conversation. But we've had strategies where someone will go into a nursing home for one day. We'll move them back into their home to restart the clock, and because she's not going to get moved back in, and then the heirs or the person has 1 year to sell the home and pay off the loan. So I'll owe more than my home's worth. There's a non-recourse protection. I didn't get into the details of that, but that's another safety net, which is why they're FHA insured. And so, there is that potential where you could owe more than the home is worth if you live to be over 100, but you'll never owe more than it's worth at that time because of the insurance. Yeah. That's the actual terms of the loan is 150. Yep. And then my home must be free and clear before I get a HECM. No, that's one of the biggest ways we impact people's day-to-day life is shutting off that mortgage payment for them. So it does not need to be free and clear. And then the risks, the loan balance increases over time because instead of you making a payment to pay down the loan's paying you, so the loan balance increases. As home equity is used, there's fewer assets for your heir, so that's a conversation that we have with our clients. And the loan becomes due when a maturity event happens, which is when they no longer live in that home permanently, they pass away, they move into assisted living or a nursing home. There are costs to set this up. Not everyone's going to qualify, and it's not appropriate for everybody. We really do a deep dive with our clients, and a lot of times it's with their financial advisor, it's with their realtor, it's with their kids. And it carries these stigmas and misconceptions still to this day. And that's why I do events like this. It's just educate people and help them understand it a little bit more. And then the loan becomes due when it's not your primary residence. And the government says it's your primary residence when you get mail there, you file your taxes from that address, and you live there 6 months and a day. So, and then you still have to pay your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, HOA dues, and maintain your home. So yeah, that's about it. These are my 3 kiddos. They love our jingle. That's our jingle. So I don't know if anyone has questions. I know I'm like right at my limit there, but thank you.